Understanding and Managing Biochemical and Co-occurring Disorders. This module is part of our Holistic Mental Health Counselor Diploma program, offered online and designed to integrate professional counseling training with holistic healing approaches. We also provide key educational resources free to the public because everyone deserves access to practical insights and supportive tools for emotional well-being. In this educational module, we delve into the complex web of factors influencing mental health and addiction recovery from an evidence-based and holistic perspective. We explore the role of genetics, nutrition, environmental stressors, and epigenetics in shaping mental and emotional well-being. By understanding these factors, professionals can provide comprehensive care that addresses the root causes of mental health challenges and promotes sustainable recovery. Module Summary 1. Neurotransmitter imbalances and mental health. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers in the brain that regulate mood, cognition, and behavior. Imbalances in neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and GABA can contribute to mental health disorders such as anxiety, depression, and ADHD. Research by Amen and Burnett, 2012, emphasizes the importance of assessing neurotransmitter levels and optimizing brain health to support mental well-being. 2. Nutritional influences on brain chemistry. Nutrients play a crucial role in neurotransmitter synthesis and brain function. Amino acids, vitamins, and minerals are the building blocks of neurotransmitters, highlighting the significance of a balanced diet for mental health. Studies by Benton, 2007, demonstrate the impact of diet on behavior and the potential role of nutritional interventions in managing psychiatric disorders. 3. Epigenetics and transgenerational inheritance. Epigenetics explores how environmental factors influence gene expression without altering the DNA sequence. Research by Jablonka and Raz, 2009, reveals how traumatic experiences and stressors can be transmitted across generations, impacting mental health outcomes. Understanding epigenetic mechanisms informs holistic approaches to healing intergenerational trauma and promoting resilience. 4. Stress, coping, and allostasis. Chronic stress can disrupt brain function and contribute to the development of mental health disorders. McEwen, 2007, discusses the concept of allostasis, the body's adaptive response to stress, and its role in shaping neurobiological pathways. Integrating stress management techniques into holistic treatment plans enhances resilience and supports recovery. 5. Genetic recoding and psychotherapy. Genetic recoding offers a unique approach to addressing inherited subconscious beliefs and promoting emotional healing. By targeting deep-seated beliefs encoded in the subconscious mind, genetic recoding facilitates transformative change on a genetic level. This innovative therapy aligns with holistic principles by addressing mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of well-being and the propensity toward poorly inherited coping mechanisms such as addiction and substance abuse. Our society often attaches a stigma to those with emotional imbalances or mental and psychiatric disorders, although we are beginning to do so less and less. We are gradually recognizing the interconnectedness of mental health, addiction, and holistic wellness. Psychiatrist Daniel Amen, in Making a Good Brain Great, 2006, explains that in reality, the vast majority that suffers from these disorders are more like the rest of us than they are different. How so? Well, a majority of mental, behavior, and addiction disorders such as anxiety, schizophrenia, attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder, AD/HD, borderline personality disorder, and bipolar depression can be caused by imbalances in chemical substances called neurotransmitters, in addition to stressful events, genes, and adverse childhood experiences or events, ACE. When a psychiatric disorder exists with a substance use disorder, it is considered a co-occurring disorder or comorbid disorder. The brain is a chemical factory that constantly produces dopamine, serotonin, GABA, and other required neurotransmitters throughout our lives. The raw materials for these processes are amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients. In essence, nutrients are the sources of our neurotransmitters that help to regulate brain chemistry. Walsh, 1997. Imbalances in biochemistry, such as developmental, learning, or behavior disorders, and mental illness include anxiety, ADHD, schizophrenia, autism, depression, violence, and criminal behavior. Approximately 40% of persons diagnosed with a psychiatric disorder have a coexisting substance abuse or dependence disorder. Horsfall, Cleary, Hunt, and Walter, 2009. Individuals with addiction disorders frequently suffer from an assortment of vitamin and mineral deficiencies, maladaptive and co-occurring disorders, and depression, among other problems. Adequate nutrients to produce neurotransmitters can usually be obtained from a well-balanced diet involving the major food groups. However, many persons, including those with psychiatric and substance use disorders, have poor diets or absorption and metabolic disorders, which result in poor health from vitamin and mineral deficiencies and severe nutrient imbalances that adversely affect brain functioning. Walsh, Glab, and Hawkinson, 2004. For example, animal studies have shown that a diet low in vitamin B6 is a vital cofactor required for the natural synthesis of serotonin. Dakshinamurti, et al., 1997. Serotonin is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that is intimately involved in emotion and mood. Too little serotonin has been shown to lead to depression, problems with anger, control, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and suicide. Adequate serotonin is important for a restful night's sleep as the body converts serotonin into melatonin at nighttime. The relationship between diet and behavior takes us into a vast area that is well worth investigating. Here, we will discuss just a few of them. Our nutritional and biochemical health influences our mood and cognition, which can lead to various maladaptive behaviors when not in balance. Dr. Amen has conducted more SPECT brain scans than anyone has worldwide and explains that certain imbalances may lead some people to turn to an addictive substance in an attempt to feel better, which is known as self-medicating. Some may use uppers such as cocaine, caffeine, and methamphetamines to stimulate underactive areas of the brain, while some use downers such as marijuana, alcohol, sedatives, or painkillers to calm and medicate hyperactive brain systems. Unfortunately, these substances are both harmful and addictive, which can cause brain damage, even permanent damage, and as a consequence, are no medication at all. For example, attention deficit disorder, ADD, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is a complex brain disorder with decreased activity in the prefrontal cortex, PFC. The harder an ADD person tries to concentrate, the less brain activity he has to work with. Brain expert Dr. Amen expounds, many attention deficit disordered persons will try to self-medicate with stimulants to increase brain activity in the PFC. They also tend to self-medicate using conflict-seeking behavior. If they can get someone upset, it helps to stimulate their brain by producing norepinephrine, adrenaline, a powerful stimulant. They can become dependent on those emotions because of the stimulation they provide, regardless of whom they engage in a conflict with. Of course, this is unconscious brain-driven behavior. However, this conflict-seeking behavior is apparent for those who have been around an ADD or ADHD person long enough. Amen. Healing ADD, 2002. Many people undermine the seriousness of ADD disorders. If left untreated, ADD can affect a person's abilities, such as self-esteem, learning abilities, social relationships, and work, and lead to greater problems. Studies show that persons with ADD use twice as many medical treatments than persons without ADD. Up to 35% of untreated ADD teens never finish high school. Up to 50% of untreated ADD teens and adults abuse substances, and all tend to be defiant. Fortunately, though, ADD and ADHD are highly treatable disorders. There are different treatments for different types of ADD. Exercise, a high-protein and a low-carbohydrate diet is extremely helpful, in addition to the right supplementation including omega-3 fatty acids. Amen. Healing ADD, 2002. Mental imbalances and substance abuse disorders are often caused by deficits in a complex interchange of nutrition, biochemistry, exercise, coping skills, genetic makeup, environmental stressors, and more. Sufficient nutrients to help modulate neurotransmission and regulate brain chemistry can usually be achieved from a nutritionally rich diet, proper neuronutrient supplementation, and a limited consumption of processed, refined, and sugary foods, in addition to a fit and healthy lifestyle and adaptive coping responses. DHA, docosahexaenoic acid from omega-3 omega-3 fatty acids is an essential element for the growth and development of the brain of infants and is also a requirement for the maintenance of normal brain function in adults. Omega-3 essential fatty acid makes up 20% of the human brain and nervous system. Deficiencies in DHA are linked to learning problems, ADHD, and unipolar depression. The connection of DHA deficiency to depression is the reason for the strong association between depression and heart problems, especially myocardial infarction. Many studies have been done on the benefits of DHA. Research indicates that when adults consume omega-3s from cod liver oil, they have less joint stiffness, more flexibility, and greater mobility. DHA is particularly important to developing children and to pregnant and lactating women, which plays a significant role in normal long-term physical and mental development of the fetus, including brain, eye, immune, and nervous system. DHA provides mood and nerve support for children, adults, and pregnant or nursing mothers. Studies found that those women who consumed larger amounts of fish suffered nearly half the rate of postpartum depression than those who consumed little or no fish. Research has even shown that children of women who took a DHA supplement from cod liver oil during pregnancy and while lactating had higher IQs at age 4 than children whose mothers had taken a placebo. Though very important for proper functioning, DHA is not produced by the body and must be obtained through the diet and/or with supplementation. Young adolescents with severe behavioral problems aged 10 to 16 recorded a 68% reduction in violent behavior when eating a healthy diet along with a fish oil supplement. In a study, teenagers aged 15 to 16 years and attending a school for the behaviorally challenged were given fish oil for 12 weeks prior to taking a standardized test. On average, they surpassed their predicted results by 1 grade level. Another study showed that 15-year-old males who ate fish at least once a week had higher cognitive skills at age 18 than those who ate fish less frequently. Benton, 2007. 3 different studies conducted in 1996, 1999, and 2000 among college students demonstrated that DHA supplementation reduced elevations in aggression and hostility in response to psychological stress. The EPA and DHA in fish oil support neurological function, balanced moods, stress management, healthy circulation, and balanced blood sugar levels. GLA, a beneficial omega-6 fatty acid, supports healthy skin, hair, joints, and hormonal balance and provides a feel-good effect that improves mood. The mood-stabilizing effect of omega-3, especially DHA, is also suggested as a therapeutic supplement for the prevention and treatment of various psychiatric disorders. Supplementing. The diet with DHA can positively affect both physical and mental functioning. Walsh, 2005. A study showing that phospholipids influence behavior performed on a group of young boys, half with low fatty acid measures, showed that behavior problems were significantly higher in the study group with the lower acid levels. A greater number of health and learning problems occurred in the lower-level group as well. Research spanning a period of 20 years has revealed abnormal trace metal concentrations in violence-prone young males 3 to 20 years of age. Walsh, Glab, and Hawkinson, 2004. A lengthy study undertaken at Yale University focused on a number of factors influencing mood and depression, among them the direct effects of tryptophan and folic acid deficiency in treating the symptoms of depression. The review also supports evidence that proper nutrition, the content of meals in terms of protein and carbohydrate content, has a definite effect on mood and performance in humans. These studies examine the essential amino acid L-tryptophan and the role it plays in the biochemistry of sleep. It suggests that tryptophan may be a useful treatment in mild cases of depression and in cases of bipolar disorder resistant to standard treatment. Bowman, 1998. Like substance use disorders, a majority of psychiatric and behavior disorders such as depression, bipolar, anxiety, schizophrenia, and ADHD can be linked to stressful events and ACE, in addition to imbalances in chemical substances. Walsh et al., 2004. Benton, 2007. Anxiety disorder, for instance, is multifactorial and frequently co-occurs with substance abuse disorders. Anxiety disorders appear to be caused by an interaction between biopsychosocial factors, including genetic vulnerability. These factors cause a response to situations, traumas, or stressors producing clinically significant Anxiety disorders. Environmental stressors, such as early childhood trauma, abuse, and a disordered home life, clearly play a role in the risk for developing anxiety disorders to varying degrees. Yates and Bienenfeld, 2014. Nim, 2014. The brain is the master regulator and fundamental organ in response to stress because it perceives possible danger and determines behavioral responses. Stress involves a two-way message between the brain and body systems by way of neural and endocrine mechanisms. Stress hormones protect the body from acute stress in daily life and promote adaptation, which is known as allostasis. Over time, however, chronic stress can lead to the allostatic load, placing wear and tear on the body that produces alterations in brain functioning causing neurons to maladapt. McEwen, 2007, pages 880 to 881. The emergence of literature in the field of psychiatric epigenomics has provided insights into the negative consequences of ACE and early life stress, e.g. children exposed to abuse and neglect, and the consequences of physical health and cognitive development, as well as the importance of adaptation. Childhood trauma appears to have lasting effects on brain regions that alter mood and anxiety-related behaviors, as well as cognitive function. To illustrate, McEwen, 2008, noted that early life experiences prompt lasting patterns of stress and emotional responses that influence physiology, behavior, and brain function. The prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, and amygdala endure stress-induced structural alterations, which subsequently restructures behavioral and physiological responses, increasing the risk for various mental disorders. McEwen, 2007, pages 890 to 891. Although a stressful environment clearly plays a major role in mental health outcomes, additional factors should not be overlooked. McKim and Hancock, 2012, discussed that genetics control physiological factors including aspects of body chemistry, brain function, and personality that increase the risk of psychiatric illness or the probability that a person will abuse alcohol in particular settings, page 151. Many psychiatric and neurological disorders are not due to mutations in a single gene, but involve molecular disruptions necessitating multiple genes and signals that control their expression. Recent evidence for the existence of sustained epigenetic mechanisms of gene regulation in neurons have been implicated in mediating complex behavior by means of long-term changes in gene expression. This includes psychiatric disorders such as depression, schizophrenia, anxiety, and drug addiction. Sankova, Rental, Kumar, and Nessler, 2007, page 355. Epigenetics research explores the ways wherein environmental factors alter the way genes express themselves. For instance, the short form of the serotonin transporter is linked with several conditions, including alcoholism. Thus, individuals who have this allele are more at risk of responding to stressful situations by developing depressive syndromes. Therefore, the importance of identifying the sensitivity of gene-environment interactions in comorbid disorders is important to consider. McEwen, Importance of Gene-Environment Interactions section, 2008. Addiction disorders and psychiatric disorders are understood using a biopsychosocial model. Therefore, these disorders are not singularly determined by environmental factors or what genes we inherit, but also gene expression, and that is influenced by factors that are in our control, such as diet, exercise, lifestyle, psychological, social, and emotional influences, and coping and adaptive abilities. Understanding the numerous causes of comorbid disorders can add value to clinical practice by helping clinicians ask profound and more appropriate questions, facilitating a more thorough and accurate diagnosis, while assessing causal brain systems pathology and improving patient compliance. Amen. Willamere and Johnson, 2012. Social and behavioral interventions that promote regular physical activity in conjunction with social support and a healthy diet and lifestyle have a significant impact on brain function and development throughout the lifespan that can counter and even prevent the harmful impacts of chronic stress. Consequently, modifications to the psycho-emotional and social environment can additionally ameliorate behavior while benefiting both the body and brain. The goal is to identify vulnerabilities to genetic and environmental stressors and utilize interventions that are likely to be most effective in early life. Intended to prevent severe conditions and promote healthy mental and physical development, or implement integrated methods designed to address these conditions in later life. Now, let's explore the fascinating science of epigenetics further. Epigenetics studies the interactions of genes with the environment and demonstrates that our genes are shaped in part by our ancestors' life experiences and acknowledges that traits and behaviors acquired in one generation can be passed on to subsequent generations. Candace Pert, Ph.D., The Molecules of Emotion, 1997. Epigenetics helps to identify genetic variations that are known to contribute to the vulnerability of stressors, which have been recognized as being involved in developmental syndromes. In fact, much of the distress we encounter in life is often a result of a genetic or epigenetic disposition, which was genetically inherited from our parents, grandparents, and/or other ancestors. In other words, a vast majority of our emotional upsets and psychological triggers were transferred in our DNA from one family line down to the next through RNA strands, including genetic propensities not only toward addictions and psychiatric conditions, but also anxiety, fear, panic attacks, insecurities, worry, self-doubt, anger, depression, self-sabotage, poor habits, and other unwanted behaviors. That sums up most of our underlying challenges. The research of Jablonka and Raz, 2009, found that transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, TI, increases our susceptibility to diseases, pathologies, and the psycho-emotional transmission of our ancestors, and that even the transmission of traumatic experiences from previous generations are passed onto later generations because a traumatic experience produces epigenetic changes that can be transmitted. What's more is that epigenetics has also provided a valid explanation of how our beliefs and subconscious programming is influenced by the primitive beliefs of our ancestors' memories and life experiences that shape their beliefs and its transference onto future generations. Carlson and Dallenberg, 2000, Jablonka, 2009. This means that we're also subject to some of the same inherent limiting beliefs and negative subconscious and psychological programming of our ancestors due to some of the hardships and struggles they may have faced in their time. These findings may be especially helpful to those previously concerned by their lifelong difficulties in coping with stress to realize that there is an actual inherited disposition to their struggles and emotional difficulties, writes researchers Babenko, Kovalchuk, and Metz, 2015. The good news is that through a process called epigenetic recoding or genetic recoding, we can discover the ability to genetically recode negative subconscious beliefs that were genetically transferred and have caused emotional difficulties and hardships in our lives. Genetic recoding is a comprehensive psychotherapeutic process that naturally recodes and rewires unpleasant inherited subconscious beliefs and activates epigenetic potential by starting at the foundation of core issues and genetically inherited dispositions. It is a holistic psychological therapy typically used in professional healing practices and consulting careers by formally trained practitioners. Moreover, generational healing with the process of genetic recoding was devised to not only decode core emotions and negative subconscious beliefs, but also to successfully heal and recode transgenerationally encoded beliefs and behaviors. We all have limiting beliefs that hold us back from reaching the full measure of our potential and prevent us from fulfilling our own happiness. These personal limiting beliefs create unnecessary hardships, such as sabotage and self-defeating behaviors, causing us to feel stuck and experience repeated lessons and vicious cycles in our life. Therefore, self-defeating behaviors are common to everyone. However, most people have not been able to go deep enough to change these limiting beliefs on a subconscious level, let alone on a genetic one. Negative subconscious programming is imprinted within our belief systems, and more often than not, these limiting beliefs were transferred genetically from our ancestors. Epigenetics reads the instructions to switch our genes on and off. What determines the switch is our subconscious programming. So, the subconscious mind is really the one that's in control. Why? Because our subconscious is the powerhouse of the mind that makes up more than 90% of our mind and stores our memories, emotions, and beliefs. Subconscious beliefs are also responsible for running our psychological programming because our memories, emotions, and beliefs are what influence our thoughts, choices, and behaviors. Even if you don't know your biological parents, subconscious beliefs are encoded in your genes. The definition of the word psyche is the human soul, mind, or spirit. Therefore, psychology means the holistic study of the mind and soul. Consequently, psychological practices should address healing on a soul level that reaches the subconscious mind, including beliefs and emotions. Otherwise, we are being cheated and not reaching deep enough into the psyche to transform our beliefs or behaviors. Genetic recoding, on the other hand, addresses both subconscious beliefs that were conditioned within us, as well as genetically transferred. Having this in mind, doesn't it make sense to start at the foundation with our genetics and epigenetics? So, what's the next step? Are you ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation? The next step is to begin your own epigenetic recoding journey. Through this process, you can identify and address your transgenerational epigenetic programming, breaking free from inherited patterns that have held you back. As we progress through this program, you'll gain insights into how your genetic and epigenetic factors impact your mental well-being. By understanding the connection between your ancestry and your current experiences, you'll be empowered to make positive changes that resonate through generations. Epigenetic recoding will help uncover the potential for true mental wellness toward a healthier, more balanced, and fulfilling life. In conclusion, mental imbalances and substance abuse disorders can be influenced by deficits in a complex interchange of nutrition, biochemistry, exercise, coping skills, genetic makeup, and environmental stressors. Addressing these factors through a nutritionally rich diet, proper neuronutrients, limited consumption of sugary foods, and effective coping strategies can help modulate neurotransmission and regulate brain chemistry. By taking a holistic approach to mental health and substance abuse, individuals can work towards achieving better overall well-being and improved mental balance. By integrating these perspectives into clinical practice, addiction professionals can offer comprehensive care that addresses the underlying causes of mental health challenges and promotes lasting wellness. Embracing holistic principles empowers individuals to embark on a journey of healing and self-discovery, leading to enhanced quality of life and holistic well-being.